So I'm going to go quickly. Hi, you don't, no introductions, me, Russell. We held the Bioinformatics Education Summit in May, and Seth, you're checking that this is visible online?
I'm adjusting the camera so we can see Russell
perfect.
as well.
Okay, great. The first summit, it was a first for all of us to be held in North America, which is fantastic. We had a large organizing team covering all of the Americas. Jason was our lead based in New York City, and he did a tremendous job getting a wealth of funding support for this to cover the cost of the venue, because it's not free in New York, the catering and the travel cost of a lot of attendees. So thank you, Jason. Shout out to him. By the numbers, it was an enormous success. We had 714 applicants, over 350 were accepted. In the end, we had approximately 70 people attending in person, with another 200 attending virtually at some point in the time, given time zones, with 50 countries represented. The agenda was packed, and probably in retrospect, I wouldn't pack it so much, but we were introducing new concepts, which Russell will speak about. We had a workshop, funders forum, 4 new working groups, as well as 10 returning working groups. If you haven't participated in an education summit, really the heart of the summit is these working groups. It's like our one opportunity to make progress on a lot of activities that we talk about or think about, but always end up on the side of our desk. So this is what happens in the summit. But we also have other opportunities that arise over the course of the summit to network and discuss and exactly what is happening here at ISMB as well, just to meet people. And Jason was a great host, taking us around various parts of the city. So I'm going to rapid fire through all of the overview of what everybody presented in each of their working groups. Russell and I are going to split that. We did ask everybody for 3 slides and then realized that 60 slides is way too many. So we have just your title slides here. So for an update on the working groups, Russell and I have the honor of presenting on all the working groups, but there were a lot, so thank you, everybody. So Patricia and Jessica presented on assessment of learning during short format training. And their group ended up refining a list of activities and strategies that can be used for assessment. They listed out pros and cons of each of the assessment approaches and made recommendations on when and how to effectively use those. So I think that that's going to be a valuable resource when they get that out and published. Train the Trainer was presented by Dushanka and Alice, who used a really novel, well, I'd never seen it in action, a customized whiteboard. And so what they had is they took content from the 2023 Bioinformatics Train the Trainer presentation, and they had the 2024 summit attendees reorganize things according to administration, facilitation, and program development. And then they had the attendees propose solutions to those. And what ended up being discovered is that not everything has a solution, and that there's still some gaps, and those can be built into future Train the Trainer programs. So I think that was, Dushanka's shaking her head, that was quite a useful working group. Then there were, as you've heard in the morning session here at the summit, there were a lot of activities in competency framework. I think this is one of the strengths of the education group. And so we had a presentation from our Cape Town team, who we also heard this morning. Rolanda was presenting on that. But what they really did is that little bar graph that she did. So they had already worked through the competencies, and what they took the working group and split it up into their user, their data scientist, and their engineer, and they had us score what level of competency was needed for the user and whether it was necessary or not necessary. Some challenges that they did identify in that particular exercise was there was some overlap with the competencies, so they need to reduce the redundancy, and they're going to work through rephrasing some of the competencies because it wasn't clear what the actual meaning in the competency was. But a lot of work achieved in that particular working group. Marta also presented, but Patricia and Marta also did the Bioinformatics Core Facility Working Group. And they have a competency framework, as Marta was presenting this morning, fleshed out. And what they ended up using the summit for was to do a survey on that competency. And see what depth of competency, again, is needed across the 4 personas that they were using. And Marta presented. Another presentation by Patricia will be done tomorrow, actually presenting at the core facility session tomorrow. And I'm going to turn it over to Russell.
Yeah, so I will try to keep up the pace here. So we had another session by Marta and I on how to use the competencies. So this is something that's been covered at every one of the summits, trying to come up with strategies for using competencies for things like refining a degree program, proposing a new short course, and so forth. We had a presentation by Javier de las Rivas and myself on degree program accreditation. So trying to walk people through the ISCB degree accreditation system, which some of you may not know about, and really try to have some more experience on how you use the competencies to evaluate a degree program, which is really what applying is all about, putting together an assessment of your own program using the competencies framework, and then walk through a mock study section of how we would evaluate a program given one of these. We are looking for more applicants as well as developing a pool of reviewers. Fair care checklist, so fair training materials has been a priority of every one of these summits so far. We had another session from Nikki Mulder, Van Geest, and Verena Rass on making training materials fair. Green training is another one that I think was added a couple summits back, but another important area for the field, trying to develop green training materials and train our community on how to be more efficient, more environmentally conscious in our training. We had a number of new areas this year. So we had a presentation by Jessica, Barbara, and Adam from the Nibbles Consortium. And I will say this is one of the reasons I was very happy to see it in North America for the first time. As many of you may know, there are a lot of communities working on bioinformatics education. Nibbles is one of the US-grown ones that's done very exciting work on bringing bioinformatics training to life scientists. And this was a chance to bring more people from that community into the summit and share their teaching strategies and their materials with the rest of our community. The grand challenges in bioinformatics education and training by Asif Khan and Esra Isik. So this has been an ongoing effort. It led to a paper that is shown here that appeared in Nature Biotechnology, a position paper on the grand challenges in bioinformatics education and training. And there's a working group that's continuing to develop that. So they worked on continuing to develop that at the summit. So taking us the next step on finding solutions to the challenges identified in that paper. And a very popular session on using AI in training by Stephen Piccolo. Well, I don't know what to say about this other than that it was hugely popular, and I think everyone was very excited by this. The web this year will be based on this topic. I'm not sure how close it will be to the session there, but if you are interested in this, I'd strongly encourage you to check out the web tomorrow. So this was a very popular session. Making training material accessible was another topic, one that I believe we introduced 1 or 2 summits ago. Actually, no, it was new to this. ISMB. It was introduced as a key topic in ISMB last year and followed up in the summit. So This is another of the popular areas, and bringing in Jason and the Nibbles group and some of their friends from lifesciencetrainers.org created a great opportunity for Jason to lead a session on the bicycle principles. So anyone who works in short form training, you've probably heard about the bicycle principles, or if you haven't, you should. So I'd encourage you to look this up or talk to Jason, who is also here at the summit. And we had one new session, a workshop. So we tried experimenting with some other formats. So an online mediated workshop. So online trainers teaching us about how to evaluate education and training programs in bioinformatics. And another new experiment to engage with funders. So we had a panel discussion with a number of agencies that are interested in funding bioinformatics education, their representatives, and a chance for them to take some questions from our audience as well as share their priorities. So just to wrap up here, the summit is not just a once-a-year meeting. It's the culmination of a year of activities, and these are ongoing. There are working groups associated with each of these topics, and I'd encourage anyone who's interested in any of them to join the working groups. So there's a fuller version of these slides that is at the tiny URL printed here. I hope that is short enough. People can write it down and then look that up, or we'll find some other way to get it to you. So please get involved in these. We would also encourage people to become part of Goblet, the ISCB Education Committee, and or COSI, as well as other organizations like Life Science Trainers. And planning is underway for the 2025 summit. If anyone's interested in being a part of that, please get in touch soon. It's not official yet where it will be. I'm not sure. I don't know if we want to announce the tentative plan before it's final, but does anyone want to? Okay, so Mexico is the plan site. So, and I think that is all we have here. So we've got, I guess, hopefully.
Right on time. Yeah, even more. Yeah, marathon. Thank you so much, Michelle, Russell, and Priyanka for these two last speedy presentations. Any speedy question? No, with the speedy answers too. We have half a second. No? Yes, please. Wait. Yeah, choose from there.
Yeah, the other 60 slides online somewhere?
Yeah, so the tiny URL here has the full set of slides. There is a set of Google Drive folders that contain all the working materials people were working on. If you join the working groups, the individual groups can add you to those folders so you can get involved, or if you want to see what was developed there.
It's really going to be in Mexico?
We hope so.
I hope so. Okay.
Getting the potential organizing group together so we can back to the organizing.
Okay, so to all those who are online, what Patty said, that there is potential, very good indication that it's going to be in Mexico, because Patty is going to do everything to do that. My translation for everyone here online.